The Vrexian Empire had tasted defeat only once in its 3,000-year history. That defeat had come at the hands of a species that barely knew how to leave its own star system: humans. Commander Zelthak stood in the war chamber of the flagship Dominion's Fist, his four eyes fixed on the holographic display of Earth. The blue planet rotated slowly, mockingly, as if daring him to try again. Around him, 200 of the Empire's finest military minds waited in silence. The memory of their first invasion attempt still burned like acid in their collective pride. 5 years ago, 50,000 Vrexian soldiers had descended on Earth in standard combat armor. They had expected primitive resistance, projectile weapons, chemical explosives, perhaps crude aircraft. What they encountered instead was gravity. Earth's gravity 1.0 standard units that felt like being crushed under an invisible mountain. Their bones had cracked. Their organs had hemorrhaged. They had crawled back to their ships like broken insects, leaving behind only the echoes of their screams. But the Vrexian Empire did not accept defeat. "Show them," Zelthak commanded, his voice cutting through the chamber like a blade. The hologram shifted. Earth vanished, replaced by a towering figure encased in sleek obsidian armor. Green energy fields pulsed across its surface in hypnotic patterns. "The Mark 7 gravity compression suit," a voice announced. 5 years of research, 3 trillion credits, and the combined genius of 100 worlds condensed into one perfect solution. Dr. Vesiter, chief scientist of the project, stepped forward. His scales shimmered with barely contained excitement. "Honored Commander, what you see before you is the culmination of our greatest scientific achievement. The Mark 7 doesn't just resist gravity, it compresses the wearer's molecular structure, redistributing mass at the quantum level. We've tested it on Gorth Prime at 2.7 standard gravity units, on the crushing moons of Zelthar at 3.2 units. The suits performed flawlessly." "And on Earth?" Zelthak asked, his tone flat. "Earth's one will feel like a gentle breeze," Vesiter replied with absolute confidence. "Our warriors will move as if they're on our home world, perhaps even lighter. The humans won't know what hit them." A ripple of approval moved through the assembled officers. Zelthak watched them, seeing the hunger in their eyes, the need to reclaim what had been lost, the burning desire to prove that the Vrexian Empire's first failure would be its last. "How many suits?" Zelthak asked. 50,000, Commander. One for every soldier we lost in the first attempt. Enough to take their major cities simultaneously: New York, Tokyo, London, Mumbai, Sao Paulo, Beijing. We will strike everywhere at once. They won't have time to coordinate a defense." Zelthak turned back to the hologram of Earth. Somewhere down there, humans were living their simple lives, unaware that vengeance was being prepared in the darkness between stars. He thought of their primitive technology, their fragmented nations, their crude understanding of physics. They had won the first battle through luck, through the accident of living on a high-gravity world. This time there would be no accidents. "Prepare the fleet," he ordered. "We leave at dawn." The journey took 43 days. 10,000 warships crossed the void, an armada so vast it could blot out stars. Inside the troop carriers, 50,000 Vrexian soldiers trained relentlessly in their new suits. They ran obstacle courses. They practiced combat formations. They felt the Mark 7 compress their bodies, felt the technology rewriting the rules of physics around them. Every drill ended the same way, with victory with certainty. Lieutenant Cressa stood among his unit, watching his soldiers spar in the gravity chamber. The suits made them invincible. He had seen a warrior take a direct hit from a plasma rifle and walk away without a scratch. The energy fields absorbed everything, deflected everything, protected everything. "Do you think the humans remember us?" one of his soldiers asked, mandibles clicking with anticipation. Cressa nodded slowly. "They remember, but this time they'll learn the difference between a first attempt and a final solution." The fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. Immediately, human detection systems lit up across the planet. Defense satellites pivoted. Military installations went to high alert. Fighter jets scrambled into holding patterns. But no one fired, not yet. Commander Zelthak broadcast his message on all human frequencies. His voice, translated by advanced linguistic algorithms, beamed across every screen, every radio, every communication device on Earth. People of Earth, 5 years ago you witnessed the Vrexian Empire's mercy. We left your world intact. We gave you time to prepare, time to understand the futility of resistance. That time has ended. You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally. Refuse and your cities will burn. Your civilization will be reduced to ash. Choose wisely. In the UN headquarters in New York, military commanders watched the alien fleet position itself in high orbit. General Sarah Martinez stared at the tactical display, her jaw tight. 10,000 warships, 50 times larger than the first invasion force, and this time they would be ready for Earth's gravity. "Orders, General," an aide asked quietly. Martinez didn't look away from the screen. "We wait, we watch, and we pray they made the same mistake twice." 1 hour passed in silence. No surrender came. No white flags appeared. Earth simply watched the sky and held its breath. Aboard Dominion's Fist, Zelthak gave the order. Launch the drop pods, all battalions. Simultaneous planetary assault. Show them the might of the Vrexian Empire. 50,000 pods detached from the fleet like falling stars. Inside each one, a soldier in a Mark 7 suit checked their weapons one final time. Energy fields hummed to life. Gravity compensators activated with soft chimes. Everything read green. Everything was perfect. The pods entered Earth's atmosphere at terminal velocity, their hulls screaming through layers of oxygen and nitrogen. Targeting systems locked onto their destinations. Central Park in New York, Shibuya Crossing in Tokyo, Hyde Park in London, and dozens of other symbolic locations across the planet. Inside his pod, Lieutenant Cressa watched the altimeter countdown. 10 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 2 kilometers. His suit's display showed perfect readings. Gravity, 1 standard units. Compression field, optimal. Structural integrity, 100%. He smiled behind his helmet. Victory was inevitable now. The ground rushed up to meet him. His pod slammed into Central Park with earth-shaking force, cratering the ground and sending tourists scattering in terror. The door hissed open. Smoke billowed out. Lieutenant Cressa stepped onto Earth for the first time, his weapon raised. Ready to claim this world in the name of the Vrexian Empire. He took one confident step forward, and his femur snapped like a dry twig. The sound was unmistakable, a sharp, wet crack that echoed across Central Park like a gunshot. Lieutenant Cressa's leg folded beneath him at an impossible angle. His scream tore through his helmet speakers, a high-pitched shriek of agony that made nearby humans stumble backward in shock. But he wasn't alone. Across Central Park, across Shibuya Crossing, across Hyde Park and every other landing zone on Earth, the same horrifying symphony played out in perfect, terrible synchronization. 50,000 Vrexian soldiers stepped out of their pods. 50,000 Mark 7 suits registered optimal performance. And 50,000 warriors collapsed as their bones shattered under Earth's gravity. In Tokyo, Commander Thelvin managed 3 steps before his spine compressed like an accordion. In London, an entire platoon crumpled simultaneously, their exoskeletons sparking and failing as alien physiology met physics in the cruelest possible way. In Mumbai, soldiers clawed at their suits, trying desperately to shut them down, to make the pain stop. But the Mark 7 safety protocols had locked them inside their technological coffins. Lieutenant Cressa lay on the grass, his vision blurring with pain. Through his helmet's cracked display, he could see his suit's readouts. Everything was green. Gravity compensation, active. Energy fields, stable. Structural support, optimal. The suit thought it was working perfectly. And that was the problem. Aboard Dominion's Fist, Commander Zelthak watched his tactical display dissolve into chaos. Every single biosignature on the planet was showing critical distress, vital signs spiking, emergency beacons activating by the thousands, screams flooding every communication channel at once. "Report," he roared, his voice wide with disbelief. Dr. Vesiter's hands flew across his console, pulling up telemetry data from the suits. I don't understand. The suits are functioning perfectly. All systems are optimal. The gravity is reading exactly 1 standard units. There's no reason. Then why are my soldiers dying? Zelthak's voice cracked with fury and desperation. A junior science officer, barely out of academy training, raised a trembling hand. "Commander, I think I know." Every eye in the war chamber turned to her. She pulled up a new hologram, a detailed scan of Earth's surface. But this wasn't a geographical map. It was a gravity map. And it was chaotic. "Earth's gravity isn't uniform," she said quietly. "We calibrated the Mark 7 for stable gravity fields like those on high-gravity moons, consistent, predictable. But Earth is different. It has tectonic plates constantly shifting, ocean trenches creating localized gravitational wells, mountain ranges, underground aquifers, even the rotation of the planet itself. All of it creates micro-variations in gravitational pull, millions of them across the surface." Vesiter stared at the data, his scales losing their color. "The suits are calibrating to the average 1.0 units, but the actual gravity, it fluctuates between 0.98 and 1.03 every few meters. Every step requires real-time recalibration, and the Mark 7 can't adapt fast enough," the junior officer finished. "The compression fields are fighting against gravitational shifts that change faster than the suit's processors can compensate. It's creating internal stress points. Every movement, every step is generating forces that—" "Shatter bone," Zelthak whispered. The war chamber fell silent, except for the endless screaming from the planet below. On Earth, humanity moved. General Martinez issued her orders with calm precision. "All units, weapons hold. I repeat, weapons hold. Medical teams deploy immediately to all landing sites. Treat them as mass casualty events, not combat zones." Across the planet, the response was instantaneous. Paramedics rushed into Central Park, their hands raised, showing no weapons. Soldiers approached with medical kits instead of rifles. In Tokyo, a teenage EMT knelt beside Commander Thelvin, gently removing his helmet while speaking in soft, reassuring tones despite not knowing if the alien could understand. Lieutenant Cressa watched through pain-hazed eyes as a human woman in an orange vest approached him. She was young, maybe mid-20s, with kind eyes and steady hands. She didn't look afraid. She looked concerned. "Easy," she said softly, producing a device he didn't recognize. "We're going to help you. Don't try to move." "You should kill us," Cressa managed through clenched mandibles. "We came to conquer." The woman paused, meeting his alien eyes with unexpected compassion. "Yeah, well, you came, you fell, and now you need help. That's all that matters right now." She pressed the device against his suit's control panel. It interfaced immediately, designed specifically for Vrexian technology, prepared weeks ago when intelligence predicted a second invasion. The Mark 7's compression fields powered down gradually, relieving the internal stress while Earth-designed gravitational supports activated, stabilizing his broken body. The relief was instantaneous. Cressa gasped, tears streaming from his eyes. "Better?" the woman asked. He could only nod. By nightfall, all 50,000 Vrexian soldiers had been stabilized. Human engineers had designed gravity sleds, simple hovering platforms that negated Earth's pull entirely. The wounded aliens were loaded carefully, treated with the same urgency as human casualties, and transported to makeshift medical centers where doctors worked alongside Vrexian medical staff who had shuttled down from the fleet. General Martinez stood in the UN Situation Room, staring at the viewscreen showing Commander Zelthak. The alien commander looked broken, not physically, but spiritually. "You could have destroyed us," Zelthak said quietly. "My soldiers were helpless. You could have ended the Vrexian military threat forever. Why didn't you?" Martinez considered the question for a long moment. "Because we remember what it's like to be the ones who need help. Because mercy is stronger than revenge. And because maybe, just maybe, next time you'll come to Earth as friends instead of conquerors." Zelthak's 4 eyes closed slowly. When they opened again, something had changed in them. "I will recommend to the High Council that Earth be granted protected status. No Vrexian will threaten your world again. You have my word, and thank you for my soldiers, for showing us something we thought was weakness." "What's that?" "Humanity." 3 weeks later, the last Vrexian shuttle departed from Earth's surface. Inside one of them, Lieutenant Cressa sat by a viewport, his leg in a human-designed cast covered with signatures from the medical team that had saved him. He watched Earth shrink in the distance, that deceptively simple blue marble that had defeated the greatest military empire in the galaxy twice. Not with weapons, not with technology, but with gravity and with grace. He touched the cast gently, tracing the unfamiliar human script. Somewhere in that chaos of letters was a message from the young EMT. He'd had it translated. "Hope your leg heals fast. Maybe next time you visit we can show you the good stuff, pizza, jazz music, and sunsets. The really important human things." Cressa smiled, a gesture that didn't exist in Vrexian culture until now. He would hold on to this feeling, this strange, uncomfortable knowledge that the universe was far more complicated than conquest and defeat. Earth had taught them that in the most painful way possible. And somehow, in the gentlest way imaginable.